Welcome back, everyone. Our topic this week is cooking at home. So I thought today that I'd show you how I like to cook at home. The video was a little bit longer than I expected, but you can look in your materials for some vocabulary from this video, as well as some idioms that have to do with cooking. You can also look in the materials for the recipe that I'm making, which is sweet potato and bean tacos. Okay, let's get cooking. Okay, so the recipe says to pickle the onions, slice red onion into thin half rings. So I'm going to cut off the ends and cut it in half. And peel it. And now I'm going to try to slice this into thin half rings. Okay, so now the recipe says add to a jar or container with a 1/4 cup red wine vinegar, 1½ teaspoon sugar, and 1 tablespoon salt, and a 1/4 cup of cold water. But here's the thing, I actually think I need more liquid than that, so I'm going to double the recipe. So I have my container. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of water, because I doubled it, 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. Then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of, oh wait, nope, this is the teaspoon. I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of sugar and 2 tablespoons of salt. And then I will add my onions to that. And then it says, mix together, seal, and refrigerate for at least 30 minutes. Okay, so next I'm going to make the beans. And it says in the directions that you can use a pressure cooker or a stovetop. I used to use my stovetop because I didn't have a pressure cooker. But now I have a pressure cooker, so I'm going to use that. It says in step 1, add dried beans and cover with a few inches of water. So I measured out 1 pound of dried beans, like it says, and I'm going to add it to the bowl of the pressure cooker. And now I'm going to cover it with a few inches of water. Okay, so I added a few inches of water, so now there's water in the bowl for my pressure cooker. And the next step says to chop the onion, and we'll add that along with some smashed garlic. But first I'm going to chop the onion. Earlier I sliced an onion, this time I'm going to chop. So first I will cut my onion in half. And cut off the ends and peel off the onion skin. Okay, and now I'm going to chop it. So first I'm going to slice . And then I'm going to make it chopped by going back the other direction. So now that's chopped onion. Okay, so it says that you're going to add the onion along with smashed garlic. And when they say that, they mean smashed garlic cloves. So here is a whole head of garlic, and if I were to open this up, I would have lots of cloves that I would have to peel and then do the next step, but I didn't really want to do that. So I bought fresh peeled garlic cloves. So I'm going to take out, it says I need about 7 garlic cloves. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. That's about 7. I usually like lots of garlic. And when they say to smash the garlic, they mean to kind of crush it so that the flavor is a little bit stronger. So I usually do that with a knife. Oops, escape. Okay, so now I have my smashed garlic and my chopped onion, and I'm going to add them both very carefully to my pot. Okay, now the recipe says to have the orange and add it. So when they say have something, it can be a verb. So I cut it in half, and now it is halved. So I'm going to squeeze this as I put it in and put that in here, and it will cook with it. Then the last step says, before we cook, says to add some bay leaves and or other dried herbs. So it means you can basically put in the herbs that you want. So I'm going to add some thyme, because I like thyme. And I'm going to add a couple of bay leaves for flavor. And I also like cumin, so I'm going to add some powdered cumin. And I don't like to measure things, so I'm just going to add a lot of cumin. Okay, then there are 2 sets of instructions. One of them is for a pressure cooker, and one of them is for the stovetop. I'm going to use the instructions for the pressure cooker. So it says to add a teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to need my teaspoon again, and I will add a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so now that we have all of that, it says seal and pressure cook on high for 35 minutes and let the pressure release naturally. So I'll put this in here. I will seal it. I'm going to do pressure cook, and it's on high. And now it says 35 minutes. So we'll wait for it to start. Hopefully it will do that. And now it will pressure cook. Okay, so the pressure cooker is done and the pressure has released, so it's safe to open. And now it says, for either method, when beans are cooked, remove the orange peel and whole spices. Bring to a boil and reduce to desired consistency. Season to taste with salt and pepper. So that means I'm going to open this and I'm going to find my whole seasonings, so my pieces of thyme, like that. And I'm going to also take out the orange peel, which is this part. I might leave some of the inside of the orange because I think it tastes good. but I'll take out the orange peel. And then, here's some more spice. I'm going to bring it to a boil, so I'll press the button for saute on here, which will make the temperature higher. And I'm going to reduce it. So right now, it's kind of thin. It's a little bit watery. And we want it to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to boil it until it's thicker and then season to taste, which means as much as you like. I'll add some more salt and some more pepper. Okay, the recipe says to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. 400 degrees Fahrenheit, of course. So I'm going to do that. And now the oven is preheating, and it will take it a little bit of time to get to the right temperature. Okay, so step 2 says peel potatoes and cut into cubes. So I have my potato peeler, and I'm going to peel my potatoes. Okay, so my potatoes are peeled, and it says cut into cubes. So to make a cube, first I'm going to slice, and then I'm going to make cubes by going one way and then the other way. So that's a cube. It's basically a square that has 6 sides. And I'll finish this potato. Okay, that one's all set. Now I just have to do the rest of them. Okay, so I've cubed my sweet potato with a little help. And now the recipe says in a bowl, mix potatoes with oil, ground spices, and salt. So I have lots of ground spices here. The recipe says cumin, coriander, chili powder, onion powder, and garlic powder. I don't have any garlic powder. This happens when you're cooking at home. So I'm just going to add some onion powder, some cumin, some coriander, some red chili powder, not too much because this kind is really spicy, and I think that's it. Now for the olive oil, and also some salt. And I like to use this sea salt, which is a little bit bigger, the crystals. Okay, so we'll mix this up and then we'll roast it. All right, so I'm going to mix this in a bowl. And then it says to spread it out on a baking sheet and roast for 40 to 45 minutes. So I need 2 baking sheets because I used a lot of potatoes. We really like sweet potatoes. So I'll spread them out so that they roast evenly. And I usually add a little bit more salt. Okay, and now we're ready to roast. Okay, now the oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the temperature we need for roasting. To roast something is to cook it in the oven for a long period of time. Now it's time to set the timer so that we make sure that we don't roast the potatoes too long. So we're going to set it for 45 minutes. And we'll come back when it's done. Okay, it's been 45 minutes, so now it is time to take out our sweet potatoes. Okay. And now they look pretty well roasted. So I think they're done. And don't forget to turn off the oven. Okay, so it says to assemble, heat the corn tortillas on a grill, stovetop, or in a microwave. I'm going to use my stovetop and show you how I usually heat up corn tortillas. So you take a corn tortilla, put it in your tongs, and carefully lay it on top until it starts to get warm and a little bit browned on one side. And then you turn it over, flip it over to the other side, and make sure that side is done too. And then you just do as many as you need for your tacos. Okay, so it's finally time to assemble or put together our tacos. And it says for each taco, place beans in the center of each tortilla. So I will do that. I have 3 tortillas. And I will put some beans in the center of each. So and it says followed by sweet potatoes. So they mean also put some sweet potatoes on top of that in the center of each tortilla. So, okay, so now we have beans and sweet potatoes, but we need some other things. It says top, which means put on top or use some toppings, with pickled onions. So here are pickled onions from before. So I'll use a fork to get them out. Then it says sliced avocado. My avocado is more like in chunks, but if you're good at slicing avocado, you can put some pretty slices of avocado. So now we've got avocado and onion. And then it says cilantro. So we have some fresh cilantro. Got cilantro. And then we can do a pinch of salt, just to bring everything together. So we'll do some salt and a pinch of salt. Okay, and then it says serve with lime wedges. So I have a lime here cut into wedges. The wedge means the shape. So if it's shaped like this, that's a wedge. And when they say serve with, they mean give it to somebody with lime wedges. So this person can have a lime wedge on the side, and then when they're ready to eat, they can squeeze some lime juice on top. And then it's all ready.